The sound of silence is broken. The ground in Tuscany didn't just shake, it cracked open, swallowing every preconceived notion we had about the limits of a Yamaha engine. For years, the Iwata factory was the polite kid at the party, bringing a smooth inline-4 to a V4 knife fight. But at Mugello, that politeness was buried under 6 feet of Italian asphalt. As the garage doors creaked open in the misty morning light, a sound emerged that hadn't been heard from a blue bike in decades. A guttural, violent V4 scream that sounded less like a motorcycle and more like a predator that hadn't eaten in years. Engineers from rival teams were spotted freezing mid-espresso, their eyes widening as the acoustic signature of the new era echoed off the grandstands. It was the kind of sound that makes you check your insurance policy before throwing a leg over the seat. But while the noise was terrifying, the real horror for the competition was hidden deep inside the timing screens, waiting to detonate. But as the first sector turned purple, the paddock realized this wasn't just a loud engine, it was a mathematical anomaly. The Turkish Predator's dance began. Toprak Razgatlioglu does not ride a motorcycle, he interrogates it until it confesses its secrets. And at Mugello, the confession was, "I can go faster." Looking like a man who has replaced his central nervous system with carbon fiber cables, Toprak began his assault on the track with a level of aggression that felt almost personal.
His signature stoppy entries remained, but now, backed by the raw torque of the V4, they look like a glitch in the matrix. Physics simply shouldn't allow a bike to stand on its nose while traveling at that velocity. There's a human element here too. You could see the grin through his visor, the joy of a rider who finally has a weapon that matches his own insanity. He isn't just testing a prototype, he's flirting with disaster and winning every single argument. It's a brutal, beautiful dance that makes you wonder if he's discovered a secret gravity-defying cheat code. However, fast is a relative term until you compare it to the greatest benchmark in modern history. The ghost of '93 was finally summoned. For years, Marc Marquez's Mugello record sat on a pedestal, protected by an invisible aura of untouchability that discouraged even the bravest challengers. It was a record built on the ragged edge of Honda's golden years, a number that seemed etched in stone until a Turkish rider on a brand new Yamaha decided to bring a sledgehammer to the museum. When the screen finally flashed the new time, the atmosphere in the pits turned chillingly quiet, the kind of silence you only get when a king has been publicly dethroned. Reports suggested that even the seasoned veterans in the Yamaha garage were checking their sensors for a calibration error, unable to believe the gap. Marquez's record didn't just fall, it was obliterated, leaving a vacuum where the old hierarchy used to sit.
It's a bit like watching someone beat a legendary boss level on their first try while eating a sandwich. But shattering a record is one thing. Keeping the bike from exploding into a million pieces of expensive carbon fiber is quite another. The weapon of mass destruction is now active. Yamaha's new V4 project has officially transitioned from a laboratory experiment to a weapon of mass destruction, and its first victim was the status quo. After a long, dark winter of being mocked for their lack of top speed, the Japanese giant has finally stopped bringing a toothpick to a gunfight. This engine is a mechanical masterpiece, blending the traditional Yamaha finesse with a newfound brutal acceleration that seems to defy the laws of tire wear. Technically, the way it manages its power delivery out of the final corner at Bucine is nothing short of sorcery, providing enough grip to make a gecko jealous. It's dense with information and raw horsepower, a package that finally gives the riders a fighting chance on the long straights. You have to feel for the rival engineers, who now have to explain to their bosses why the slow team is suddenly flying. Yet, rumors began to circulate that this speed came with a terrifying price for the riders' stamina. Paddock panic has reached critical levels. If you want to see what professional panic looks like, look at a rival team manager staring at Yamaha's telemetry data. Spies were reportedly seen hovering near the blue garage like hungry seagulls at a chip shop, desperate for even a blurry photo of the new exhaust routing. The data suggests an acceleration advantage that shouldn't be possible for a first-generation V4, leading to frantic emergency meetings in the Ducati and Aprilia camps. There's a wonderful irony in watching the dominant teams suddenly scramble like students who forgot there was an exam today. The Mugello miracle has turned the power map into a mess of red ink and shattered egos. It's a mysterious shift in momentum that no one saw coming, proving that in MotoGP, the only thing faster than the bikes is the speed at which a rumor travels. But the most confusing part of the data wasn't the speed, it was the stability. There is terrifying stability in the eye of the storm. High-speed V4s are usually about as stable as a caffeinated toddler on a pogo stick, yet Toprak's Yamaha looked like it was on rails. During the most grueling race simulations, where tires usually start to surrender and beg for mercy, the V4 package remained eerily composed. This is where the Yamaha DNA shines through. They've managed to keep the surgical precision of their old chassis while bolting a rocket ship to the middle of it. Technical observers were left scratching their heads as Toprak repeatedly hit his marks with the accuracy of a Swiss watch, lap after lap. It's the kind of consistency that keeps rival riders awake at night, wondering if they've brought a knife to a laser-guided missile fight. The bike isn't just fast, it's obedient, which is a much scarier combination for the rest of the grid. Of course, even the best machines have to face the ultimate enemy, the Italian sun. Scorched earth and extreme durability tests followed. As the afternoon sun beat down on the Mugello asphalt, turning the track into a literal frying pan, the durability test began. Most prototypes would start to wheeze and lose power in that kind of heat, but the Yamaha V4 seemed to thrive on the punishment. Internal temperatures remained within safe limits, proving up the cooling R&D team in Iwata hasn't slept in 6 months. It was a human triumph of engineering over the elements, showing a level of maturity that is almost unheard of for a bike still in its infancy. Toprak reported that the bike felt comfortable, which in racer speak usually means, I can win a title on this. There's something deeply satisfying about watching a machine work perfectly when everything around it is melting. This reliability leads to a very uncomfortable question for the 2026 season. The 2026 danger signal is flashing red. Consider this a formal warning to every contestant on the 2026 grid. The Predator has evolved, and it's very, very hungry. The results at Mugello weren't just a fluke or a glory lap for the cameras. They were a declaration of systemic dominance.
If Yamaha can translate this testing pace into a race weekend, we are looking at a brutal shift in the MotoGP ecosystem. The hierarchy that has been dominated by European brands for the last few years is suddenly under siege by a Japanese giant that has finally woken up from its nap. It's a danger signal that is vibrating through every carbon fiber fairing in the paddock. Predictions for the next title race are being thrown into the trash as we speak, replaced by a sense of impending drama. But amidst the technical data, the human story of the Turkish king remains the most compelling. The mental duel has already been won. Toprak isn't just fighting the clock, he's fighting the shadows of the legends who came before him. By taking down Marquez's record, he sent a psychological shockwave directly into the minds of his rivals. It's a mental duel fought with telemetry and lap times, a game of high-stakes poker where Toprak just went all in and showed a royal flush. You can see the shift in his posture, a new level of quiet confidence that should terrify anyone who has to line up next to him on the grid. He's no longer the underdog from Superbikes, he's the man with the golden ticket. The pressure has now shifted entirely to the established stars to find an answer to the Turkish blitzkrieg. As the sun sets over the hills of Tuscany, the reality of what we witness begins to sink in. A new legend is born in the hills of Italy.
Mugello has been the silent witness to many miracles, but today felt like the birth of a new religion in the Church of Speed. The collaboration between a Turkish maverick and Japanese technical genius has created something that shouldn't exist, a perfect racing weapon. As the Yamaha V4 is tucked away back into its crate, the echoes of its record-breaking laps still seem to hang in the air. We are standing on the precipice of the most spectacular era in motorcycle history, where technology and pure guts unite in one deadly blue package. Prepare yourselves, speed enthusiasts, because the future isn't coming, it's already here, and it's leaning at 60 degrees. The legend of Toprak and the V4 is just beginning,
and God help anyone standing in their way.